welcome to another edition of the Brewer Magazine Podcast. We are sponsored by Keg Logistics. You can go to keglogistics.com/brewermag for more details. And of course, we're available 24 hours a day at brewermag.com. Make sure that you're liking and subscribing to either YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this. Well, today on the Brewer Magazine Podcast, a while back, I sat down for a cover story interview with the co-owners of Bale Breaker Brewing. It was siblings Kevin Smith, Meghann Quinn, and her husband Kevin Quinn, for a look at how a family-run brewery on a hop farm in Yakima, Washington continues to grow with intention. Now, this is a glimpse of the overall conversation we had, and they unpacked the business logic behind opening a second tap room in Seattle's Ballard neighborhood, along with partnering with Yonder Cider, and it gave them a foothold in a completely different consumer landscape. They also share the less glamorous side of scaling a brewery and the willingness to keep pouring money into the lab instead of new fermenters, the discipline to dump beer when it doesn't meet the standards of them, and why quality control became the backbone of their brand long before they hit 15,000 barrels or more. And finally, they talked about what it takes to run a growing brewery as a family, how their roles diverged and specialized over the years, and why cross-functional decision-making still matters, and how they balance being business partners, siblings, and operators who want the brewery to outlive all trends. Now, it all comes from the interview that gave us the story in December of 2023. The cover story was called Sharing the Wealth, and you can check out more online at brewermag.com. Here's Bale Breaker on the Brewer Magazine Podcast. This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.
One thing I haven't talked about yet, but then another innovation piece we did a couple years ago was actually open a second tap room.
Yeah, so, that's what I was going to talk about.
We opened a tap room in Ballard in September of 2021, which is super cool. But just kind of thinking, we can talk more about that too. And it's an interesting project that we do. It's a collaborative tap room with a cidery, Yonder. But it's interesting to see now having two tap rooms and see the different
taste and preference between the two. It's crazy.
Right. Here in Yakima, just clear beers.
Clear
West Coast IPA.
Clear.
Or Pilsner does well, but clear hoppy is what sells far and away the best here in Yakima. In Ballard, it's Pilsners and Hazies.
Pilsner and Hazy. Over and over.
Yeah.
Our brewer over there, he's like, what should I brew next? I'm like,
Pilsner and Hazy.
Literally, you can't go wrong if you're doing Pilsner or Hazy. Just keep cranking those out. But when you get bored of that, make a clear beer if you want it.
Yeah, how did that all come together? And was it something, I know I've talked to Caitlin about this, and being, just having that opportunity for that. I mean, it's very unique for you guys. I mean, you're into the unique, a hop, brewing in a hop farm and then working with a cidery to open up a tap room.
So Smitty, we mentioned earlier, Smitty's first brewing job was at Two Beers Brewing Company back in 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, so I worked with Caitlin before, so that was our first kind of. I've known her since before Bale Breaker. She was doing freelance PR at Two Beers, and then right as I was leaving to open Bale Breaker, they were. I think she'd come on full time for us at that point, doing some PR, some marketing, some things like that.
For Two Beers.
For two
beers, yeah.
Yeah, and then right as I was leaving, they were starting Seattle Cider Company, which took off, and Caitlin became president of Seattle Cider Company and ran that for many years before Joel sold it. And so, and then she left, went to Angry Orchard, and then started Yonder. And so, she just randomly called me up one day. I mean, we'd see each other at festivals and stuff, and just randomly called me up and was like, hey, this is crazy. There's a brewery up for sale in Ballard. I want to get into making a tap room. But she even kind of said, like, I don't know how a cider-only tap room would go over. Like, there just aren't many of them. And so she's like, I want to partner with a brewery that I trust. And, all of her production's out of Wenatchee. So that's east of the Cascade Mountains. And we're east, so it was also kind of like she wanted to find someone that was on this side to kind of tell the story of, like, coming from agricultural area to Seattle to bring our products, and then we can kind of, you know, align our marketing and branding a little bit more. And so it was good timing. We were looking at places looking at opening a tap room in Seattle, but hadn't like made a bunch of progress. So it was something that we wanted to do.
Yeah, and we hadn't like 100% decided that it would be
like
in Seattle.
Yeah, we're looking at other markets too, and so we're kicking around. So that kind of pushed us to Seattle, and then it, kind of helped too was being able to split the cost of a remodel and things like that, because it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and we didn't really know what finances would look like in here. So there were a lot of attractive ideas there, and then made a beautiful space, and it's a super cool project.
Yeah, are you, and like you said, is there some difference to it? And what you want there, how you're looking at the data, like even selling data for later, like when you guys are selling non-package or packages instead of draft, does that change what your salespeople are doing out there?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it gives us a little better insight into it. It's also like a younger consumer than we get here, which is nice. Obviously, all of us in the craft beer industry are trying to figure out like what is that Gen Z consumer. Early data is showing that it's like not as much beer and wine, and it's more liquor. The overall alcohol segment is pretty much stayed the same, but it's like less beer and wine. And so, there's a lot more, younger 20s people that go to our Ballard tap room. So that's a good bit of insight into, that the newest generation of craft beer drinker and what they're doing. And I mean, for all of us to survive, we need to, we need to bring in more of that younger generation back into, or not back into, but like into craft beer, like, the millennials and the Gen Xers had before that, because we're kind of aging out of the craft beer consumer. So, it's really good insight. I mean, it's also helped with a little bit of like a halo effect in terms of, our off-premise sales, helping with, more displays and other stuff, because it's like, local sells craft beer. I mean, I'll stand behind that. Like, the number one seller in craft beer is how local are you? It is, and like, there's good points to that, and there's detriments to that as well. But like having a space there now, it's, they have more like Seattle like independent grocery stores there, getting more placements there, getting more ads, getting more displays. That's been beneficial. Being able to bring accounts out and stuff also gives us the ability to collaborate with accounts and other breweries over there. So it's been good. We're very unique in a lot of ways, but also in our sales. In Washington State, you'll typically see, and I've heard this from a couple different distributors, ours being one of them, and then some of the other big distributors, they typically see 10% of the sales east of the Cascades that they see west of the Cascades. And we're almost exactly 50-50. Western Washington's a little bit higher, but I mean,
there's more people too.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a whole lot more people.
Yeah.
And so it's like we get a good spread like across the whole state. Like, if you look at our top 10 accounts let's go with our like original footprint. So Washington and the 10 northern counties of Idaho, like one of them's in North Idaho. There's a couple in Spokane. There's a couple here in Central Washington. There's some in Seattle too. And it's like, you wouldn't think that like a little bar in North Idaho is going to sell, nearly as much beer as a pizza place in Pike Place, but like it does, at least for us.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty unique too.
Really cool. Trying to think if there was something else with well, I guess we haven't really talked much about just being here for hop selection and bringing that in. We talked about it earlier. How did that, even before when you guys were getting going, change your mentality of, going forward with what you wanted to do, wanting to be that? I mean, because you said it was more of your own personal preference, but you have so much influence from basically all over the country.
Yeah.
Did that have any impact at the beginning?
This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.
I mean, first off, it was very scary because you knew that all the world's best brewers would have a good chance of having a beer in your tap room. So we knew we had to
about
we
diacetyl,
had to
things like that.
we had to hit the ground running, and we knew it needed to be. I mean, we knew the beer had to be really good.
Yeah. But no, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of the creative process of recipe writing and stuff, that was on us to just kind of conceptualize what we wanted. But we had a ton of help from, you name it. If we saw something wrong or with tank design, or something, we might send blueprints for tanks over to someone in Colorado because we know them and trust them, and they look and they're like, hey, I know that all looks, things like that. Or call someone up when we first started firing up a canning line, oh shoot, what's going on here? I've never seen this. And someone's like, oh, I've seen it a million times. Being able to have kind of a pick line to some of the best minds in the industry was pretty beneficial for sure. But and with that, we still had to pull it off, not make shitty beer. So
we had a lot of brewers tell us you need to make clean beer and beer that's free of flaws, and then whether the consumer likes it or not, I mean, none of us can guess that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we need to make clean, consistent beer, and then let the consumer decide.
Yeah.
What beers there are. So we were just hyper focused on quality.
And we're probably a lot of brewers in our same situation, or a lot of brewers that were kind of same size or something and growing at similar rates, might have struggled with putting that much financial capital into quality and lab equipment and things like that, because that doesn't necessarily make you money. It might save you money, but it's not going to make you money. Where just it's easy to just be well, let's buy one more fermenter, we're going so fast, then we can sell more beer there, and then then we'll buy that piece of equipment that we need, and you can just keep spiraling down that. And since we were always kind of wanting to make sure that we weren't, letting down our friends in the industry or people that have helped us, that it was easier for us to just kind of, okay, let's keep funneling money into the lab, and once we know that we're making quality, consistent beer, then we can start, buying more fermenters. And so a lot of times it was we might need 4 fermenters, but let's buy 2 because we also need this piece of equipment, because if we double our size, we're going to need to make sure that this is staying in spec or something like that. So we did a lot of that. And then,
I mean, and it wasn't until 2019 that we actually had a bigger sales team than we had a quality team.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's unique.
Yeah, and then also it's we had at one point we were under 15,000 barrels, and had a brewer come in and say your lab is more robust at 15,000 barrels than we were at 100, and they're that's awesome. We're yeah, well, that's sometimes you might only get one shot at converting a consumer to your and you don't want to blow that. There's only so much you can control, so let's control what we can. We can't control if someone leaves their beer outside in an alley at 100 degrees and then puts it on tap, but we can control it the way that it is when it leaves our dock. It's
and in all the sales I've done, I've never had the question of, how many times do you plate your beer before it goes out? Do you have a PCR machine? Did you run this through the alkalizer? It's did you run VDKs on this, your spectrophotometer, before you crashed out the yeast? It's like, no one ever asks it.
But they also
And
don't
the
have to
quality is
question,
also,
like, what our beer's going to taste like when they buy it.
Yeah.
They know that it's going to be what they expected or what they got the last time, something like that.
Right.
and the whole quality thing is also an interesting thing, right? Because all the testing and stuff you do is expensive. Like, everything you run is expensive. And then when the quality team is doing the team's expensive. Everything's expensive. And then when they're doing their job and they find something that's like not right, then you're putting that beer down the drain, which is even more expensive. And it's also weird. Like, you got to get the right people on the quality team too that are like, hey, that's not right.
Willing to flag things,
Yeah. And so it's like, you can always tell when like something comes up in that they're always kind of like, I gotta tell you guys that, whatever, we got a micro hit on this. And that's why we got the PCR machine, because a lot of times, I mean, probably 90+%, or more than that, like 99% of the time, it's a plating issue, or the sample wasn't taken sterile. And so now we know not to freak out if there's a first hit. We have the PCR machine to run for the DNA of the beer spoilers that we're really worried about, and then we replate it, and it's like, then we can forget about it for 4 or 5 more days, and then see if we do really need to freak out. But we've had to dump batches, and we dump batches, and it's better to dump a batch, and that's why we do.
What did Carey say? Like, there's 2 types of breweries: a brewery that
that
a
knows
brewery that has a microbiological infection, and a brewery that has a microbiological infection and knows it. Okay, you want to be the one that knows where it is and how to do it.
Nice.
So we constantly do it throughout the process. So after fermenter full, because we get multiple batches in there.
5 plate.
Yeah, then after dry hop.
After primary fermentation, before dry hop. After dry hop, before transfer, bright tank, and package. So
That's
make
good.
sure.
That's
So
a
then you
lot.
can isolate where it was too.
And then I don't think we walked into the cooler, but I was saying earlier it holds 2 weeks worth of beer. That's because it takes us 5 days to get micro, and we don't, from the package samples, and nothing leaves this brewery. I guess it's not an absolute truth. Sometimes in the summer we'll send stuff out to fill an order so we know where it's going, and we send it to our main distributor in Washington that picks up every week. So if there is something, then they can just pick it up and bring it back. But so every Friday, there's everything in that cooler that's going out the next week and the week after. And so we know that everything that leaves here has passed all of our quality standards and checks.
Nice. The one thing that I was thinking before, and I want to make sure I ask it, and then we can maybe run over to the hop farm. How have what you guys are doing changed, the roles? Because obviously when you start as a family business and it's just the family, and then you have to start adding people, your roles have probably dramatically changed. And is that something that you guys kind of fell into your own things? Did you raise a hand and say, I'm going to take this and take this? Because it seems like you guys do have more defined roles now than you probably did at the beginning.
Yeah, there's way more overlap at the beginning. I mean,
There's still a lot of overlap.
And is there defined roles now?
Yeah, slightly. I mean, to some degree, we work together really well on whatever we need to do. So, but I mean, when we started, I had the production experience, so I did that. Quinn had sales experience, and my sister had business experience. So those are like the 3
Big buckets.
that we fall into. But I'm still mostly pigeonholed in production. That's basically what I've always done professionally, so that's where I'm at. But Quinn's basically like operations, does everything from sales to helping out back here and everything like that. And then Meg runs all the finance and marketing and heads up the tap rooms and things like that. And so those are definitely our buckets. But for the most part, I mean, we all work well together. It makes sense for us all to be into we all sit in on the marketing meetings, because I can provide a view from production about when beer's ready and things like that. And Quinn's got an angle because of sale, you know, things, you know, so it makes sense for us to overlap a lot and work together. But I mean, yeah, there's loose definitions.
Yeah.
But I think it's also helped us, especially like in our like new products and product development and stuff, and like
Who's that?
the fact that like we all have experience in all of it. You know, it's like ideas might come up if it was just like a marketing team trying to tell a production team, you know, what they wanted and not understanding the limitations of production or like what they're asking about. It's good to have like the whole knowledge of the brewery and how everything works. And I think it allows us to, you know, I think make more educated decisions on what direction we're taking the brewery. And it's, I mean, I guess the buckets, it's like, you know, if it is anything, it's like, you know, Smitty pretty much has final say on like a production thing. Like, is it going to be, I mean, typically we make a decision by a group, but it's like, then if it's a sales thing,
are in agreement.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I mean, we aren't like fighting over that stuff, but yeah, I guess when it comes down to it. Sure.
Yeah. And then like sales, it's like,
if I wanted to put my foot down.
yeah.
But I don't.
And then Megs is on the marketing and finance side. She's kind of like, I'm like, I want to open another tap room. And she's like, not a chance.
Well, so then we might have to go to simple majority in that one because we want to open more tap rooms.
Yeah.
But we also don't have to deal with the headaches that Megan does. I'm more of like the idea guy.
Yeah. She gets to be your realist.
She gets, you know, there's a gas and a brake on
Yeah.
the car. I'm like full gas. And Megan's like, you gotta tap the brakes every once in a while. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously worked out.
Yeah. How is it being a family business? Because it's a little different. There's no off day really, because you know you're always thinking about it or talking about it even when you're at home or something like that. And
it was a hard adjustment at first.
Yeah.
was it?
I mean, and still sometimes we'll be like talking, and especially Megan and I, obviously.
Yeah.
Kevin gets to go back and talk with his wife Anna, who is not in the business, so he gets some time up. But sometimes we'll be at the house and we'll be, you know, like sitting on the back patio having a beer, and we'll be talking about, and then we're like, all right, we got to like stop, like no more talking about work for the rest of the night. It's like we need to take a breather from this. But yeah, it is hard.
Yeah, it was hard. I remember it's like before when we worked in separate, you know, careers and whatnot. You know, you come home from work and you could, you know, complain about your day or complain about your boss or complain about a coworker, and your spouse would just listen and, you know, could just, you know, maybe just, you know, provide some support. But now it's like, you know, one of us, you know, comes home from work and
It's like, Meg, stop
like,
complaining about me. I'm right here.
it's like, you know, then now it's a problem we both have to solve, not just like, you know, you can't just like be a support system or someone to vent to. You have to be like, okay, well, we gotta solve that problem.
Right.
But yeah, it's good. We're pretty lucky. We're all quite different and very compatible in like our different kind of.
We have complementary skills to each other.
That's good.
This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.